All right, welcome back to the final leg and the real last exercise for our perfect tense. Now, we had earlier used a modal verb in perfect in which I had spoken the real verb, main verb, and you had simply replied in context. Like you remember, we said I had been able to learn German easily, and you said I had been able to as well. Yes, and I had said I had had to leave early. I had said leave, and you had said I had had to as well. Now we'll learn, like you had said, ich hatte gekonnt, ich hatte gewollt, yes, whatever the sentences were. So this time we'll be learning how to say the complete sentence. Like you want to say, I had had to leave, yes, I had been able to learn, yes, all these kinds of sentences in which you make the use of modal verb in a perfect sentence completely, yes, like write the full sentence by yourself. So some rules we'll have to learn. So basically we are talking about using two perfects in a perfect sentence. That means I have, and you need to write being able to as well as leave. So I have been able to, sorry, what was the sentence? I've been able to learn. My apologies, yes. I've been able to learn German easily. So we need to write I have been able to and learn, both in perfect. Now, if we write them both in perfect, they might look a little awkward. Let's try to say the sentence. Ich habe Deutsch schnell gelernt gekonnt. If I say ich habe Deutsch schnell gelernt gekonnt, that is being able to learn. It sounds a little weird because two perfects are never written together. Yes, so in German we can't say two perfects, we can't ever write them together. So what we need to do, we in this case write them both in infinitive. We don't really write them in perfect, we write them in the original form. Yes, and whenever there are more than one verb in the end of a sentence, the helping verb, which is determined by the main verb, will not be determined by the main verb any longer. It will by default always be haben. Yes, that means you don't need to follow the first step of determining the helping verb by looking at the main verb. You don't need to look at the main verb. The helping verb will always be haben. Yes, for example, if you want to say, okay, I had had to go. Yes, so you will not say ich habe gegangen gemusst. Yes, basically two perfects never written together. And you'll never say ich bin gegangen gemusst as well, because if you might think by looking at the main verb gegangen that it's supposedly having movement and you write bin, no, that will not be the case. Basically you will write it like this. Let me strike this off as well so you understand it's incorrect. So let's strike it off. Yes, so basically the complete sentence would be wrong. Ich bin gegangen gemusst, that's Katastrophe. We'll follow the rules. That means by default the helping verb is haben, so ich habe, and both the verbs, yes, had to go, had been meaning must, to go mean go, would be written in infinitive, gehen müssen. I have had to go. Ich habe gehen müssen. Yes, so we'll do some related sentences here. I had been able to finish. So basically I had is perfect, been able to is modal, and finish is your main verb. So basically we normally look at the main verb to determine the helping verb. Here we already know it's by default haben, so we'll say ich. We'll just cross check the tense, it's past tense, so we'll say ich hatte. Now the verbs are being able to finish, so basically finish is fertigen. We'll write fertigen, and then können would be können. So first comes the main verb, then the modal verb. Yes, ich hatte fertigen können. You'll never say ich hatte gefertigt gekönnt. Sounds really off. Katastrophe. Okay, moving forward, I have had to go. Let's find out. We'll follow the first rule and we'll see that we'll see the main verb to go and determine the helping verb. But here we already know that there are two verbs, had, have had, which is must. Yes, and to go. So basically we will not look for the verb. By default it's haben. The tense is present, ich habe. The verb is gehen, and then had would be interpreted like must. So it will be written here müssen. Fantastic. I had been allowed to drive. Let's write here. Okay, so I had been allowed to drive. So the perfect is had. Yes, been allowed is the modal verb. To drive is your main verb. So we'll basically write it here, in which we'll write ish. And since we already know there are two verbs in this kind of a structure, we don't go out looking at the helping verb by looking at the main verb. We simply go with haben. Ish, habe, but the tense is past. So we'll say ish hatte, and the verb is to drive, fahren, and the helping verb to be able to is dürfen. So we write dürfen. So ich hatte fahren dürfen. I had been allowed to drive. Yes? Perfect. Moving forward, let's make some space if I can. Okay. Not bad. So here is a little space for the last sentence. It says I had wanted to leave. Okay, let's bring it to the next page. Do it easily here. I had wanted to leave. So I had is your perfect, and basically wanted is your modal verb, and to leave is your main verb. So basically we'll be using the structure of perfect with modal verb. That means we'll not identify the helping verb by looking at the main verb. By default it's haben, so we'll say ich haben, but its tense is past, so we'll say ich hatte. Then the verb is to leave, verlassen, and the verb, helping verb, modal verb is wollen. Ich hatte verlassen wollen. Yeah, I had wanted to leave. Ich hatte verlassen wollen. So I had been able to finish. Ich hatte fertigen können. I have had to go. Ich habe gehen müssen. Yeah, I had been allowed to drive. Ich hatte fahren dürfen. I had wanted to leave. Ich hatte verlassen wollen. Now, even if the verbs have movement like gehen, yes, we have still used haben, because the rule is the helping verb for a perfect sentence with modal verb is always haben. Fantastic. So follow the rules and go over by yourself. You could try to write these sentences without looking. So thanks for joining in. This officially ends our first level A1. I'll catch you soon in the next lesson where we'll begin A2. Till then, this is John Berlin signing off.